Hey, what's going on, you guys? Jordan over here at the Movie Den. I hope you all are doing well. So guys, not too long ago, I did my top 10 favorite horror movies of the 80s, and I had a lot of fun with that. So I want to continue that trend, and we're going to move over into the 90s. Now, the 90s, that's when I grew up. So there's a lot out there. Now, these ones I'm talking about today aren't necessarily ranked. They're just some of my favorites, and I went ahead and picked 10 of them. Now, per usual, I do have to own physical copy of these for them to make it into this video. If I don't have a physical copy of it, then unfortunately it's not going to be in this one. So anyways, let's go ahead and we will start at the top here. And again, no particular order. This one I got here from 7 Films. We have 1994's Michele Soave's Cemetery Man. The movie follows a caretaker of the cemetery named Francisco Della Morte. And what's interesting about this cemetery is on the 7th night after someone has died, they come back to life as, zombies, The Walking Dead, and he has to defend the cemetery from that. He's got a kind of a bumbling buffoon of a sidekick who helps him there. There's some love interest that is kind of a supernatural in a way. But all in all, this is kind of like a horror comedy. I had a good time watching this, and I really, really enjoyed it. And the transfer that 7 Films did for this, this is like reference quality stuff. It looks amazing. So highly recommend this. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I'll make sure to link all these down below. But for my number 10, Michele Soave's 1994 Cemetery Man. So now, guys, moving on to number 9. Now, this one technically is in a movie. It's a mini series, really. It was like a 2-part mini series, but it's from 1990, and we have got It. This is the Tim Curry, the It that I grew up on, my favorite Pennywise. And I gotta say, this movie right here scared me to death as a kid. This caused my fear of clowns. I do kind of still have a little fear of clowns. They just make me feel a little uneasy, and it's because of this one right here. Tim Curry, he doesn't play this. On the surface, doesn't look like this crazy, scary clown like the Pennywise that Bill Skarsgård portrays. But there's just, I don't know, there's something about him. The way Tim Curry's facial features, he has very, very strong facial features, and it works perfectly for Pennywise. And I love this movie. It's actually directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who wrote and directed Halloween 3. And fun fact, he actually portrayed Michael himself in the 1978 Halloween in that closet scene when he's going after Laurie up in the second story of the house. But guys, fantastic movie. It's, I'm sure you guys all know the story about it. You have a group of kids trying to investigate and basically take out Pennywise, who is the representation of evil itself, can become anything that you are most scared of, because there's been missing kids throughout the town, and Pennywise is even taking control over, the entire community, the parents in the town and everything. It's a great film. I really enjoy it. But we have 1990s It. This next one was a lot of people's favorite, but we have 1992's Bernard Rose's Candyman. Yes, Tony Todd himself, R.I.P. But guys, this movie, Philip Glass, who's a composer who did the score for this movie, it is an almost perfect score for a movie, in my opinion. It's got this just a dreamlike quality, a dreamlike feel to the music, and it fits perfectly for the storyline. That piece, It Was Always You, Helen, the little piano line, it sticks in your head. It's an amazing, amazing theme song for Candyman. It's about this man who was wronged many, many, many years ago, and he has a hook for a hand. And, it's kind of the urban legend. You stand in front of a mirror, say Candyman 5 times, and he shows up and gets you, is what the movie's based about. But there's a lot more. It's a lot more nuanced than that. A lot of intricate storyline. It's a good movie. Definitely check this out. 1992's Candyman. All right, next. This one to me is almost like, this and one other one is like the quintessential 90s slasher. When I think of slashers in the 90s, I think of either this movie or another one I'm going to be talking about. But this is 1998's Urban Legend, directed by Jamie Blanks. Now, like I said, this is just, to me, it's got the feel of the 90s. You've got the guy from Dawson's Creek is in this movie, which, that's a massive 90s TV show. Everything about this to me screams 90s. And you even have some horror icons in this movie. Robert Englund, who plays the professor. And then you also have Brad Dourif. Now he plays this kind of just this crazy guy at a gas station. And, I hadn't seen this in a while. And I don't know how I missed it, but I watched it the other day. And I was watching, and then all of a sudden that scene showed up. And I was like, hold on. Is that Brad Dourif? And I looked at my wife. I think that's Brad Dourif. She didn't know who that is. But I looked it up, and sure enough, yes, it is Brad Dourif. He makes an appearance in this movie. But you even have like Jared Leto's in this movie. It's a great movie. It's about these kids on this college campus, and people are dying in ways that are inspired by certain urban legends. And that's what the movie's about. And they go after to try and see who is doing all this. And it's a fun movie. I really enjoy it. This is the box set from 88 Films. It's got all three. But of course, we're talking about the original right there. But great film. I love it. I think, like I said, this is a quintessential 90s movie, 90s slasher movie, I should say, in my opinion. But there you are, 1998, directed by Jamie Blanks, Urban Legend. So this next one, this might be my favorite, but we have 1999's The Blair Witch Project. This movie was so influential to found footage movies in general. Spawned tons of different found footage movies following this release that are still happening today that credit this as the inspiration for it. But if you guys haven't seen this movie, it's a phenomenal movie. You guys really need to check it out, especially if you're a found footage fan. If you're a found footage fan and you haven't seen this, this is like almost a rite of passage, I would say. I love this movie. It follows this girl who's planning to do a documentary on the Blair Witch, and she gathers two of her friends, and they go out in the woods searching for the Blair Witch, and they do a documentary of it and all that stuff. And this release also comes with an amazing documentary in of itself that I think is, like I've said before multiple times, probably the best documentary I've ever seen of any movie. And this is one of the earliest found footage. Now I know there's other ones like Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah, that's a found footage as well. But as like in this style, this is one of the earliest. There is one more that's earlier that we'll talk about here in a second. But there you are, 1999's The Blair Witch Project. And the one I am talking about, this one came out 1 year prior, 1998, and we have got The Last Broadcast. Now, this movie is directed by Stefan Avalon and Lance Wheeler. They actually play some characters in this movie, two of the main characters of this movie. And this is very similar to the Blair Witch Project in the fact that it's a group of guys that start this internet show. And this is very early internet shows. And they go out looking for the Jersey Devil. And of course, things happen. And it's another found footage movie. And I love this movie. This movie is so good. I think that the popularity of this got overlooked because of the Blair Witch Project, even though this came out a year before. Now, yes, the Blair Witch Project, that just, it kind of everything perfect that could happen for that movie at the time of its releasing happened. It was just everything fell right in line. But unfortunately, because of that movie, this gets overlooked a lot. And I really think you guys need to give this a shot if you haven't seen it, because I really think you will enjoy it, especially if you like the Blair Witch Project. This is just, kind of goes right along with it. But there you are, 1998's The Last Broadcast. Now, of course, how can I not talk about the 90s and horror movies or slashers without talking about this right here? Probably the most popular out of all the movies I'm going to talk about today. But we have 1996's Scream, directed by the legendary Wes Craven. This movie, this is the movie that brought the general audience back out to see slashers, and it spawned a bunch of, similar movies like this after I Know What You Did Last Summer, Bride of Chucky, Urban Legend, Halloween H2O, all those movies because of this guy right here. In the 80s, they were, slashers were big. It's 70s and 80s. And 70s to 80s, end of the 80s, it took a dip. And then about the mid 90s started ramping back up because of this. And, what set this movie apart really is it knew what it was, and it played on the fact that it knows what it is. It was a satire in that way. And what they did really smart with this movie is they had a massive box office draw for this in Drew Barrymore being in the movie. And she was promoted for this movie when it was coming out, and they killed her off in the first 10 minutes of the movie. So they really didn't have to pay her a lot. She was a big actor at the time, but it brought people to see the movie, put butts in the seats, and they fell in love with it. And that's such a genius move that they did with this. But other than that, there's so much other great things about this movie. One of my favorites, it was this and Urban Legend to me. When I think of 90s horror, 90s slasher movies, automatically my mind goes to Scream and Urban Legend. Those two right there, to me, are 90s in a movie as far as horror slashers. But definitely one of my favorites, 1996's Scream by Wes Craven. Moving on, let's go back into the kind of found footage in a way, more of a news broadcast found footage, but we've got 1992's Ghost Watch, directed by Leslie Manning. And what was interesting about this movie right here is BBC was a part of this. And what they did, the night of Halloween 1992, they premiered this. Now, they showed this off as a live broadcast, a nightly news show where you have in the studio, you have a host and he has a guest, brings on other guests. But at the same time, they're tapping into a news feed at this house where these reporters are going in, trying to look for this supposed ghost that they call Pipes in the movie that's haunting this house. You know, this movie is almost in lockstep with The Conjuring 2, which is one of the cases from the Ed and Lorraine Warren cases, files, or whatnot. But when this came out in 1992, that night, BBC actually got phone calls from thousands of people complaining, saying BBC should not be putting this on the air. They got some that people were praising it, but people really thought this is real. And they haven't really done anything like that since. But that's what I love about this movie. The fact that BBC really put this out there and it was promoted as a real thing when it never really was. It was recorded, weeks earlier, but great movie. If you haven't seen this, you guys definitely should. I think you're going to enjoy it. But there you are, 1992's Ghost Watch. So moving on, I've got one more after this. So this is my second to last one. So I guess number 9 or number 2, however which way you're counting. But this is from 1990, and we have got The Exorcist 3, directed by William Peter Blatty. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's actually the writer of the original novel, The Exorcist 3, Legion, and he actually wrote the original Exorcist and this one right here. So you've got the actual writer of the novel coming in to write the screenplay, direct it, everything. And guys, to be honest, I like this more than The Exorcist, the original. I know it's blasphemous, but I think this is a better movie. I love this movie. You have George C. Scott playing this lieutenant who is investigating some murders that seem to be these murders of the Gemini Man who is supposed to be dead. The Gemini Man is played by Brad Dourif, which in my opinion is probably the greatest performance in a horror movie. I think his dialogue in that movie, his whole monologue stuff is phenomenal. Oscar-worthy stuff right there, in my opinion. And it's got one of the best jump scares. And I'm not a huge fan of jump scares, but if they're done right, I'm a fan of them. And they do it right in this one. If you guys seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It gets me every time. And just the way they set it up, it's so good. I love this movie. Definitely, you guys need to check it out if you haven't. But there you are, 1990s, The Exorcist Part 3. Now this last one, I waited till the end for this one because I think, at least in the physical media community, this is the most popular right now. But this movie's from 1995, directed by Mark Jones, and we've got Rumpelstiltskin. This movie, so I had never seen this movie before I picked this release up from TerrorVision. And I was instantly hooked when I even watched the trailer, listened to the music. I bought the LP because I thought the music is fantastic. Same guy who did the music for Nightmare on Elm Street. And when this came in and I watched it, loved it right from the second it started. Max Grodenchik, who plays Rumpel, he's just has this look to him. And it's almost, he was perfectly cast for Rumpelstiltskin. So the movie basically follows, it opens up, Rumpelstiltskin is running away from this mob of people. It says sometime in the 1400s. And he gets cursed and trapped in this golden green statue. Follows years later, and this woman goes into this pawn shop, finds it and picks it up. And her wish is that she wishes her husband can see her child because her husband passed away in the line of duty while she's pregnant with their son. Well, of course, that kind of happens. Rumpelstiltskin shows up as her husband and in return, takes her baby. And that's what the movie's about, is them getting it back. It's a campy, funny, full of one-liners, such a hilarious movie. I know I keep talking about the music, but trust me, the music in this movie is amazing. I love it. So if you guys haven't seen this, definitely check it out. I know they just came out with a slip cover of this because I think this one is sold out. But any of these, if I find them, I'll link them down below for you guys to check out. But there you are, 1995's Rumpelstiltskin. And guys, that is my list of 10 of my favorite horror movies from the 90s. Let me know down in the comments too, guys. Did you guys agree with my list or disagree? Is there some you think I should have thrown in there? And like I said, there's more I love, but these are just 10 of some of the ones I love. And if you guys really enjoy 90s specific ones, I might do a second video. We'll see. But anyways, guys, that is a video today. I hope you guys take care.